It's now 6:30. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission public hearing for Thursday, July the 7th, 2022. And as we always start off, I'm going to ask Denise if she'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
America, and to the republic for which stands
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Sarah will now go to you for roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Here.
Mr. Servan? Absent. Mrs. Karcher?
Here.
Mr. Galvery?
Here.
Mr. Mills? Absent. Mr. Davis?
Here. He's on.
He's not.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 5 present. You do have a quorum.
I thank you very much. Before you have the agenda for tonight's meeting with the different public hearing events. I will now entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda and have a second.
So moved.
Second.
Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Galvery?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 5 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
I thank you very much once again, and we'll be coming right back to you for the introduction and public hearing instructions.
Thank you. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the Planning Commission. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room, and at the appropriate time, we'll give instruction for how to join online and give testimony. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following tonight's hearing. For each application before the commission, the chair will introduce the application. Then the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Following that, those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed. No decision will be made by the commission tonight. The commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday, July 14th at 6:30 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the applications heard tonight. All information of record will be considered, and a common vote of 4 members of the commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on June 10th, 2022 in the Delaware State News. The Kent County Levy Court will hear these public hearing applications on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Unless tabled by the commission or withdrawn prior to the Levy Court hearing. Levy Court also meets in this room. Mr. Chairman.
I thank you once again. We'll now get into the public hearing. The first application is AP-22-02. District name is James East District, K-22-05-299. Applicant/owner is East Farms LLC, care of Hank Bonk, 16046 Harbison Road, Milton, Delaware, 19968. Present zoning district is AC, Agricultural Conservation. Proposed district is same with Agricultural Preservation Overlay, AP10. Levy Court District is the 4th, Mr. Buxton. School District is Caesar Rodney. Fire District is Magnolia, Station 55. Area and location, 361.8 plus or minus acres. A petition, 250 plus or minus acres. Located on the east side of Bay Road, Delaware Route 1, approximately so many feet north of Mulberry Point Road, southeast of Magnolia. Is there someone here to represent this application? Customarily, a lot of times we don't have anybody here for these kind of applications, but I will ask 3 times. Is there someone here to represent this application? Is there someone here? Is there anyone on the phone to represent this application?
If there's anyone joining us online to represent this application, you can press *6 to unmute your line at this time. See no one online at this time.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to the opposition. Is there anyone here that's opposed to this application? Anyone here opposed? Anyone here opposed? If not, then we'll take up the balance of this application in next week's business meeting. Thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is application/title CS-22-03, Amish School Victory Chapel. Applicant owners is Mary Ann Byler, 749 Victory Chapel Road, Dover, Delaware, 19904. Engineer is Minnick Engineering and Land Planning, Inc. Attention Kevin R. Minnick, P.E., 868 Greenwood Road, Greenwood, Delaware, 19950. Comprehensive plan map designation is low-density residential. Present zoning district is AR, Agricultural Residential District. Relation to gross zone, outside. Present use, agricultural residential. Proposed use, agricultural residential with an Amish, parenthesis, private school. Structure is going to be 2,752 square foot building. Proposed number of students and teachers is 40 students and 2 teachers. Parking required and proposed, 6 spaces and 6 spaces. Water is private on-site well. Sewer is private on-site septic. Levy Court District is the second, Mr. Jeffrey Hall. School District is Capital. Fire District is Hartley, Station 51. Area and location is a 100.8 plus or minus acres located on the west side of Victory Chapel Road, approximately 1665 feet south of West Denny's Road and approximately 3375 feet north of Forest Avenue, west of Dover. Is there someone here to represent this application? Good evening, Mr. Minnick.
Good evening.
You have
It's
your
Kevin
name,
Minnick from Minnick Engineering, representing this application.
have your name and your address, and you'll be either sworn or affirmed.
Kevin Minnick, 868 Greenwood Road, Greenwood, Delaware.
Good evening, Mr. Minnick. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
It's a pretty basic application, small private school for an Amish use, and the whole parcel's over 100 acres, but we're going to be using just a small, 1.5 acres, 1.47 is what's shown up there for the area of the school and area for playground area. There's not
Could
a
I ask
lot-
you to pull the mic a little closer? I
Oh,
don't
I'm
think
sorry.
I can.
There's not a lot for me to really expound on. I mean, if there's questions, I'd be glad to answer. We do have, I believe, the fire marshal approval already and the conservation district letter of approval. So,
Does any of the commissioners have any questions for the engineer? Seeing none, we thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for this application? Anyone else here that would like to speak for this application? Seeing none, I will go to the negative. Is there anyone here opposed to this application? Anyone here opposed to this application?
If there's
Sir.
anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this application, you can unmute your line at this time. I see no takers online at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll be taking this application up next week. Thank you for attending. Next application tonight is ordinance number LC 22-11. Application and name is CZ-22-04 Gonzalez. Applicant owner, Elias Gonzalez, 880 Bay Road, Milford, Delaware, 19963. Planning zoning comp plan map designation is AR, Agricultural Residential, and BG, Business General, Low Density Residential, and Highway Commercial. Proposed zoning is comp plan map designation is BG. Business General, Highway Commercial, relation to growth zone is outside. Levy Court District is the fourth, Mr. Buxton. School District is Milford. Fire District is Milford, Station 42. Area and location, 0.94 plus or minus acres. Area of petition is 0.47 plus or minus acres. Located on the east side of Bay Road, west side of Jenkins Pond Road, approximately 152 feet south of Poplar Street, north of Milford. Is there someone here to represent this application, please? Come to the mic, give us your name and your address, and you can either be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Good evening. My name is Eliza Gonzalez. I live in 880 Bay Road, Milford, Delaware, 19963.
Mr. Gonzalez, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and make sure you keep the mic fairly close to you so we can all hear you. So if you have a little presentation, go ahead and say what you got to say.
Yes, the idea to give 100% business is because I saw around Milford that they growing up very, very fast. Will be somebody with money, because I have no money, can put some business over there, can help the community.
So the parcel is split zone, am I correct? We're
Yes.
just trying to justify something that's really kind of out of whack down there in the Milford area.
Yes.
So I will open it up to the other commissioners. Anyone here have any questions for this individual? Is there anyone on the phone, Mark, that has anything to say? We'll get to the for and against.
Mr. Mills, if you've rejoined us, if you have any questions at this time, you can unmute your line by pressing star 6.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for this application? Anyone else here have to speak? Is there anyone here opposed to this application? Is there anyone else here? No, is there anyone here opposed to this application? I thank you. And we will be taking the balance of this application up under next week's business meeting. Thank you. Next on our applications is actually LC 22-14, Solar Moratorium Revised. An ordinance to amend Kent County Code Volume 1, Chapter 158, Moratoriums, as amended, by adding a new subsection relating to acceptance of conditional use site plan applications for public utilities. Solar installations over 50 acres in size. Sarah, if you will give us a presentation, we'd appreciate it.
Certainly, the ordinance does effectively what the chair just said. It's a 3-month moratorium on the acceptance of what we would call now utility solar, anything over 50 acres. So it would run through September 8th. I'm happy to answer questions.
I understand that, and we don't really meet in August.
You don't.
So really, this would be, okay. I'll open it up to the other commissioners so I won't get my foot in my mouth too far. So, Denise, do you have a question?
So they've already had 3 months. I just want to get this on the record. They've already had 3 months to research all the other states and all the other areas that have solar farms and what they're doing and what works. And so why would they need more time? I'm very confused. And if someone from Levy Court would like to come and explain it to us or send us something to let us know, I'd appreciate it.
All I can offer is at least one levy court commissioner is not satisfied with the state of the ordinance at this time.
So I guess I'll ask counsel then, are we justified in finding out what it is that the problem is, or is that not of our purview?
Well, we're not really the policymakers. I would just echo what the planning director just said. There's at least one levy court commissioner who feels that we should buy some time, 90 days, to drill into the other issue, that is utility solar over 50 acres, because the other piece of legislation, which I thought was very effective, does not relate to utility solar. It relates to community solar.
I'm
That answer your
thinking if I
question,
have any
Denise?
more. Well, I suppose somewhat.
Is there any other commissioners have any questions for Sarah about what was presented? Mr. Kirby?
So, Sarah, the code as it stands that was rewritten, that was also rewritten before we got to ask for the moratorium on the rewriting of the rewriting. Nothing has changed on that, right? I can revisit that and see where things are at the moment. And then what we're looking for coming down the pike, if we go ahead with this, it would be some revisions to that, or is this a whole new chapter that's being written?
No, it would be revisions to what was adopted in March. There's been some discussion, because if you'll recall, the ordinance that was adopted in March prohibited utility scale in the AC zoning district outside the growth zone. There's been some discussion about broadening that prohibition, but nothing formal has been introduced.
Okay. So am I correct to assume that regardless of whether they should have got it done before now or not, by giving them the time that they're asking for, we will get a better work product? Okay,
give
you don't
every
have to
court
answer
more
that, but
time.
I'm just assuming that if I give somebody who has an earnest effort or desire to create a good product, and if they say they need a little bit more time to get it, to dial this thing in and get it right, then I would be hard pressed to tell them they shouldn't have that time. I'd rather have a good product than have an inferior one because I held back on a few months just because I thought they should have gotten their work done by now.
I think Denise has a question again.
I'm just curious. It's anything greater than 50 acres. Thinking of other utilities that could go into these same areas. Are they typically 50 acres or less?
Well, this ordinance is specific to solar, right? There is still within the ordinance, within the code, a public utility use. And those, I mean, it depends on the public utility. We've done some substations and they're nowhere near 50 acres. So it really depends on what the use is. But this is very specific to solar.
This wouldn't affect a substation, a garden variety substation of any size.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is the other utilities don't require, for essentially, more than 50 acres.
For any other public utility, there is no specific acreage associated with it. The acreages were created when solar was pulled out as its own specific use.
Okay, all right.
Well, being our next public hearing meeting is September 1st, and this would actually go through our business meeting. So it really wouldn't affect us at all until into October, when anything that possibly could come to us.
It effectively, yes, because what it does is prohibit the submission. It's not even that we can't hold a hearing, it's that no one can submit one to us.
I thank you for the clarity. Thank you very much. You're allowed 3. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, my feeling is if I voted yes to add another 3 months to the original, I certainly wouldn't be willing to add another 3 months after that. I think at some point this has to stop and there have to be decisions made. So I just want that on the record.
Because ours would only be a recommendation anyway, correct? So,
Correct.
is there anybody on the phone and all that have any comments on this particular ordinance? I'm now opening it to the public for anybody that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. Is there anybody on the phone that's in favor of this ordinance?
For those of us joining us via WebEx, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 or using the icon, and you can unmute your line by pressing *6 or, again, using the icon. I see no hands raised online.
I will go to the against side then. Being there's nobody in the audience, and I'm not going to ask you 3 times, we'll just open up the telephone lines. Is there anybody opposed to this ordinance on the telephone lines?
I see no hands raised on WebEx at this time.
Thank you. So we'll take up this ordinance in next week's business meeting. Thank you. Going down to public comment, being there's nobody in the building, is there anybody online that has any public comment?
No hands raised on WebEx at this time.
Thank you very much. Down to commissioner comments. Anybody here like to say anything? We're moving down to other business. Is there any other business before the Regional Planning Commission tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Galvery?
Yes.
Mr. Mills? Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.